Of Managing the Will, by Montaigne. The Parliament of Bordeaux chose me mayor of their city at a time when I was at a distance from France and still more remote from any such thought. I entreated to be excused, but I was told by my friends that I had committed an error in so doing, and the greater because the king had, moreover, interposed his command in that affair. 'Tis an office that ought to be looked upon so much more honorable, as it has no other salary nor advantage than the bare honor of its execution. It continues 2 years, but may be extended by a second election, which very rarely happens. It was to me, and had never been so but twice before. Some years ago, to Monsieur de Lansac, and lately to Monsieur de Biron, Marshal of France, in whose place I succeeded, and I left mine to Monsieur de Matignon, Marshal of France also, proud of so noble a fraternity. At my arrival, I faithfully and conscientiously represented myself to them, for such as I find myself to be a man without memory, without vigilance, without experience, and without vigor, but withal without hatred, without ambition, without avarice, and without violence, that they might be informed of my qualities and know what they were to expect from my service. And whereas the knowledge they had had of my late father and the honor they had for his memory had alone incite them to confer this favor upon me, I plainly told them that I should be very sorry. Anything should make so great an impression upon me as their affairs and the concerns of their city had made upon him, whilst he held the government to which they had preferred me. I remembered, when a boy, to have seen him in his old age cruelly tormented with these public affairs, neglecting the soft repose of his own house, to which the declension of his age had reduced him for several years before, the management of his own affairs, his health, and certainly despising his own life. He had learned that a man must forget himself for his neighbor, and that the particular was of no manner of consideration in comparison with the general. Most of the rules and precepts of the world run this way. To drive us out of ourselves into the street for the benefit of public society, they thought to do a great feat to divert and remove us from ourselves, assuming we were but too fixed there and by a too natural inclination, and have said all they could to that purpose. I believe that in the Temple of Pallas, as we see in all other religions, there were apparent mysteries to be exposed to the people, and others more secret and higher that were only to be shown to such as were professed. As members of our being, neither an indiscreet and effeminate friendship, wherein it happens as with ivy, that it decays and ruins the walls it embraces, but a sound and regular friendship, equally useful and pleasant. Men perform like things with several sorts of endeavor, and different contention of will. The one does well enough without the other, for how many people hazard themselves every day in war, without any concern which way it goes, and thrust themselves into the dangers of battles, the loss of which will not break their next night's sleep. And such a man may be at home, out of the danger which he durst not have looked upon, who is more passionately concerned for the issue of this war, and whose soul is more anxious about events than the soldier who therein stakes his blood and his life. In him who is intoxicated with this violent and tyrannical intention, we discover of necessity much imprudence and injustice. The impetuosity of his desire carries away. These are rash motions, and if fortune do not very much assist, of very little fruit. The less peevish and passionate he is at play, he plays much more advantageously and surely.